Hello, and thanks for joining us on the podcast that discusses all things gaming. Coming to you from the home of GenCon and the gaming capital of the world, this is The Established Facts.
Hello, this is Derek Knutson from The Established Facts here at GenCon 2014. I am in the exhibit hall with
Shelly Harper,
who is the creator of Conquest, a recently successful Kickstarter. And first thing, Shelly, if you could please describe what the project is, what it's all about.
Sure. It's the Conquest Adventure Journal. It's a journal for everything you do at a con. So it's got pages for your autographs, artist sketches, notes, panel notes, cosplay pages. It comes with 4 sleeves, a business card holder, a zipper pouch, and a Sharpie. And it's all in this handcrafted 3-ring binder.
Awesome. Now, what made you come up with the idea of creating this, I guess, journal, everything that you could put for a convention?
Right. Well, I was at Portland Wizard World in January, and we were there with our t-shirt brand, One Less Nemesis, and I walked by the leather journal booth, and I walked by the hard plastic photo protector booth, and I said, hey, those are pretty busy tables. Has anybody ever made a journal just for cons that you could just stick stuff in while you're waiting in line and then have this great piece that all of your stuff is in when you leave the show? And we didn't find anything else like it. So we were like, oh my God, let's make it. And that's how we got started.
That's great. Now, have you actually used this journal at a convention before now?
Absolutely. A lot of my own stuff was in bags at the bottom of my backpack, and I had a manila folder that had all of my photo ops. So when we got our first set of them, I started going around and getting the autographs in them. I take a picture of the person signing my book and then slap their picture right below their autograph. It's so cool. And then we never really went to Artist Alley either because we were vendors. And it really inspired us to go to Artist Alley and take a picture of the artist, have them draw original artwork in our book, and, put some of their stickers and artwork in there. And then you have these great, unique pieces all in your journal. So absolutely.
How many conventions do you think could fit into a single binder?
I think that depends on how much you do at a show. When our first show sold out, and it was a Supernatural convention, and we sold out of plastic sleeves too because photo ops are a big part of what they do. So some of those people had 10 photo ops. It depends on if you put artwork and comics in them. You could get, if you're going to a smaller show and you do a few things at each show, you could probably get 2 or 3 shows in a journal. If you have one big show you're going to, it's probably going to be a journal per show. It just depends on how you use it.
Awesome. Now, I know personally business cards are a huge thing, just gets lost. I remember getting that card from that vendor that I wanted to go back to, and it's lost on my desk somewhere, probably thrown away. So that's one of the main draws that I've seen from this. And the fact that you have a pen carrier.
The Sharpie attached.
Yeah.
And the business card, that's why we made Vendor Quest as part of it. Because at first we were like, do we include a vendor page? But I think that's super important because you see a lot of cool stuff that you maybe don't want to get at the time, but you want to note down, take a picture of, slap their business card on there, whatever, and then you'll remember why you loved it, where it was, instead of losing it forever. And then with the business card sleeve, too, and then there's the big zipper pouch. So, a lot of times they give out these different size cards.
Oh, yeah.
Slap them in that little, zipper pouch, and you're good to go.
Awesome. Now, I see that you've started out with T-shirts.
Uh-huh.
How long have you been doing T-shirts?
We've been doing T-shirts about 5 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So we started out a little bit of a different brand. We really turned to pop culture about 3 years ago or so, and that's where our focus has been. But obviously now we've really, all of our heart and soul is in the journals at this point. It is, we think it's a great idea. We think it can really expand people's whole con experience. And not only to the people who go, but then they can show, they have this book to show off, and maybe people will understand a little bit more what we're doing at these cons,
Now, I'm a trading card game player, and at the tail end of the Kickstarter, after it was done,
Yep.
You and I talked about the trading card sleeves. Have those been made, or are they a future product that's going to come out?
Well, I talked to the guys at Ultra Pro who donated some for our Kickstarter project. So we actually have some singles available in our booth right now. And like I said, it's standard 3-ring size. So if you have any trading card holders already, you can incorporate them right into your journal.
Oh, nice.
And then we are going to start packaging these as an add-on with all of our journals. Trading card sleeves, and then 4x6 photo sleeves as well.
Now, one of the things, the binder is really beautiful. It's red. It looks like it's, is it fabric or is it?
It is a canvas. It is a 10 ounce, 100 pound, or 10 ounce.
100 pound, it's a little bit heavy. I mean,
100% cotton. So it's got a really nice feel, texture. We had the custom screen printing, and then we had the binding on there. It's faux leather, but it's super durable and thick. And then they actually hand sew each ring into there. So it's very, it's very customized. It's very individual. You couldn't go get this anywhere else.
One of the things, especially if you go to multiple conventions like I do, my friends do, putting something on the spine that says this was GenCon 2014, that would really be cool.
Yes, that's one thing that we talked about doing. We originally also talked about doing pages in the front that are specific to each con, and next year we'd like to add some gamer-specific pages for GenCon. So we're going to be talking to GenCon about what they think we should add to make it very game-specific and help out a little bit, a little bit in that area with, okay, I'm going to have pages for the games I want to try, the old games I need to play, that kind of thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Lately, GenCon has been not licensing, but allowing vendors to the leather shop has stuff, off-roll designs. It would be great if they would allow you to.
Oh, wouldn't it be awesome?
Yeah.
Yes, we would love that too.
Yeah.
We would love that too.
Because this is really unique, and I was excited about backing it, and I'm excited about talking to you about it.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So what is the next steps for you? What's the next leap for you?
Okay, the next steps for us, well, we also have, just so you guys know, we have a custom tote bag to carry it around to make it super easy. It's got a long handle, and it lays in the front so you can just, get out your journal and have access to it very easily. We have Wizard World Chicago next weekend and New York Comic Con in October. And then our next step, and we're in discussions now with each other about doing another Kickstarter for a smaller version of the journal. So maybe it's somebody who comes to a show, but they don't need the 8x10 sleeves for, comics or photo ops. They just want something smaller. So it will be expanding the journal line, adding different pages, and maybe making a smaller size as well.
Awesome. Now, are you planning on coming back to Indy next year for any conventions yet, or is that still in the planning stages?
Well, we're always going to be at GenCon. I mean, absolutely, definitely GenCon. I don't know what's happening with Indy PopCon. We may be at Wizard World. I think for Indiana Comic Con, we are actually going to be not in town that weekend. I think I'll be at the Supernatural Las Vegas show because that's where it all started for us.
Yes.
So we have to go back there. But so yes, as much as we can do it, we're going to try to do it that makes sense.
Yeah, the PopCon, Indy PopCon, we were, Established Facts was there. We had a booth and everything. It was actually really well laid out. So
really well laid out show. Those guys are super nice. They really were excited about the journals, and they were really great to work with. So
I hope to see you. I hope to see you there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
I just want to say thank you so much to the GenCon community for backing us. They were the biggest portion of our backers, and it just warms my heart because I'm from Indianapolis, and it just made me so happy. And if you didn't get one on the Kickstarter, you can order it at conquestjournal.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Shelly, very much for this interview and for the journal. This is Derek Knudsen from the Established Facts at GenCon 2014, and I will check you guys out later. Bye.
Hello, Established Factors. This is Dr. Deb, and they have set me loose at GenCon 2014 with the recorder. So I am so excited. I'm at one of my favorite booths. I shouldn't really call it a booth. It's really a block in the exhibit hall in all of GenCon. You guys know, if you listen to the pre-GenCon episode, I was headed toward Mayfair, right? Well, I'm at Mayfair. So I've already gotten a couple of ribbons, but I'm getting a chance to talk to Chuck, who is going to tell us even more about Mayfair, because I've got to tell you, Chuck, this is huge. You guys were big last year. How big are you guys? How much did you expand?
It's bigger. Yes.
And you guys have gone to a slightly different ribbon system, because now there's the Defender. There's the I haven't seen all three of them.
Now when you become a knight, before then we started giving alternate resources, cloth, paper, coin.
Right, I know that one.
Now you're going from knight to, you can get a venturer ribbon, a squire ribbon, a veteran ribbon, a merchant ribbon.
Wow.
And there's, I think, another one.
Too many to count.
Yeah.
And what do you get when you get all of these new ribbons? This raffle drawings, I assume. And...
Well, you get more raffle tickets, and you get more swag.
Awesome.
And beyond that, they just told me they would explain it to me later. So.
I love it. Just do what we tell you. We'll get back to you on that one.
Exactly. Yes.
So what is new this year at Mayfair? I know usually every year you guys seem like you have a big game that you're pushing. What's new and exciting out there for the folks who are Mayfair fans and who want to know what's new with Mayfair this year?
Well, we actually have, I would say, 4 new games that are pretty exciting at GenCon this year. Because earlier in the year, we bought Lookout Games.
Okay.
And so they are actually at GenCon for the first time.
Okay.
And in the past, they have always debuted new games at Essen in Germany.
Oh, okay.
But they actually brought 2 new games with them to GenCon.
Great.
So we have Goldhoy and we have Johari from Lookout. And then for Mayfair, we have 2 new games. We have Villainy, which is a very Dr. Horrible supervillain type game.
Okay.
You play rather comical supervillains whose goals are a bit odd, I guess I would say. You win the game by completing what they call their magnum opus.
Okay.
And for one of the villains, there's a deck of them.
Okay.
And you're going to draw 3 and pick one. And it might be that you want to make all rainbows black and white.
Awesome.
And this is really going to cement you as a great villain for all time.
Absolutely. Sounds like some of those great cartoon villain movies we all love.
Yes. Or you could want to decaffeinate the world's coffee supply.
Oh, now that's some serious stuff there.
That is pure evil.
Oh, yes. It is. It really is. That's cruel.
Yes. So your goals are things like that.
Okay.
And then, of course, along the way, you want to defeat your nemesis, who is named Fantastiman.
Oh, awesome.
So, yes.
He sounds very noble.
Yes. And so it's kind of a... it's got some randomness in terms of it's got several decks of cards in it.
Okay.
And you're going to use those cards to build up your main villain and his henchmen.
Okay.
Each villain has 3 henchmen.
Okay.
It's going to have a right-hand man, a specialist, and a fighter.
Okay.
So, and you need to build them up because to complete your magnum opus, each of them has different requirements.
Okay.
So you might need a specialist with a high intellect to help you make the rainbows black and white.
Sure. Got it.
So
it sounds like something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it myself. So
exactly.
Awesome.
So and then we also have bedpans and broomsticks.
Okay.
Which is a game where all the players but one play old folks in a nursing home.
Okay.
Who want to get out and go to the park.
Is that what you were running a few minutes ago?
That
okay,
is.
I'm going to sit down and I'm going to be playing that. Just all
right.
the factors. I want to give that a try.
Excellent. And the remaining player controls the doctor and nurses.
Okay.
And they just want the old folks to stay in bed.
Sure, absolutely.
It's just better that way for everyone.
Absolutely. It's quieter,
It's less work.
Absolutely.
Yes. They've got TV, they've got pudding.
Sure.
Fine.
They'll
just
be
stay
fine.
inside.
Right.
Yes. So, and it's designed by Frederick Morrison, who, if you are familiar with a lot of Mayfair games, he has designed Bacchus's Banquet for us. He has designed Nuns on the Run for us. He designed Whitewater for us.
Okay.
So he does a lot of games with interesting things with movement.
Yes.
And so he's doing that again. Like Nuns on the Run was a stealth game where the movement was actually hidden.
Right.
The players were keeping track of their movement on a pad.
Right.
And only when they were seen by the nuns did they actually have to place their pieces on the board.
Okay.
In Bedpans and Broomsticks, it's more of a chase game where each player has two elders that they're controlling.
Okay.
One of whom is really them, and one of whom is their decoy.
Oh, wow.
So you're trying to keep the player controlling the nurses from knowing which one is really you.
Right. Keep them after the decoy so that you can actually get out of there.
Yes.
Well, that's amusing. Well, actually, it's hilarious because I'm actually a doctor.
Okay.
So in real life, I'm a family medicine physician. So that is absolutely hilarious. So I definitely have to try this game. It will probably come home with me.
Excellent.
So I'm going to ask you, probably not a tough question for you, but we have some of our listeners who are big RPGers or video gamers, but they're really not as much board game players. And so they're kind of like, well, I don't know if Mayfair really has anything that I'm going to be interested in. It's where the kids go to play. I've heard that one too. I'm like, excuse me, anyway. So what would you say to those listeners to get them interested to give Mayfair a try? Oh, in fact, there's an announcement.
Dungeons & Dragons at the official Tyranny & Dragons launch party. Friday evening from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Georgia Street. Rise up or bow down.
Okay, now that I no longer have to compete with the big voice in the sky.
Yes, exactly. Now you've all heard the voice of, well, he's not really God, but he sort of sounds like it every once in a while.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, I guess it would depend on where you're coming from. For a role-playing gamer,
yeah.
And this is really going to be kind of an odd choice to a lot of board game people, but I think I would recommend Candemir.
Okay.
Which is it's actually a game in the Catan line.
Okay.
But it actually shows the struggles of the first settlers on the island of Catan.
Okay.
And instead of being the regular strategy Settlers of Catan that we all know,
sure,
this is you're controlling characters. And you have washed up on this island with nothing. And so you are, for example, each character has different ability scores and skills.
Nice.
And so it's really kind of a minimalist RPG melded with a board game.
Nice.
And so you're exploring the island, and as you explore the island, you're going to get resources, and you might find some ore, and then turn that into a sword. And you trade that sword to a character in the game, and he adds a room onto your house.
Oh, nice!
So, and you're trying to get all these various things for points.
Sure,
obviously.
fantastic, right?
Yeah. So, I think I would go with that one.
Yeah, definitely.
For a video game player, I guess it would depend on what kind of video games you like.
Right.
But if you like, let's say that you're a Skyrim guy.
There you go. My husband plays Skyrim. That works, absolutely.
Sure, I think almost everyone plays Skyrim.
I think so, too.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
I think I would go with a game with a lot of exploration to it.
Okay.
For example, in Star Trek Catan, the map is going to be different every time you play.
Right.
So especially if you like the science fiction angle, that might be the best way to learn Catan.
Okay.
Or like in Bedpans and Broomsticks, you build the map as you go along.
Okay.
So for players who kind of like the exploration angle, I would probably pick one of those two games.
Awesome. What about more of a fighting style? What if these are the people who, get me into like a Diablo, or get me into a fighting game? Do you have any where you're kind of fighting other players or fighting maybe a main bad guy, anything like that?
We do have Van Helsing and Witch of Salem.
Okay.
Which are more horror-themed games.
Yeah. Okay.
Cooperative, where you are occasionally running into baddies who are more often than not killing all of you.
Okay, that's fair. So you better fight them off, because otherwise that won't end too well.
Yes.
All right. Oh, so I've got to ask, are you guys going to be even bigger next year? Because, dear goodness, this is incredible.
Yes. Every year I think to myself, it couldn't possibly get bigger.
Right.
But then somehow it seems to do just that.
Yeah.
So.
And you guys are also in Hall E, right? And
yes.
That's where you're running other Catan games. Is that where the big Catan game is at?
Yeah. In Hall E we do our and it's both Mayfair games and Catan games.
Okay.
We have giant versions of them.
Okay.
Like we have oversized tabletop versions.
Okay.
But then we also have versions that you're playing on the floor on a 9-foot by 9-foot carpet.
Oh, that's fun.
So,
nice.
And we have various games like that. We have a Settlers of America.
Okay.
Federation Space, which is our map set for Star Trek.
Awesome. Okay.
Which, if you want to talk about deep nerdery,
yes.
we actually found on Memory Alpha there was a map of the Federation that has been on Kirk's office in several of the movies.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was actually the map of the original 5-year mission.
Oh my goodness.
And so we took that and we turned it into a Catan map.
I love it, because I am a huge Star Trek geek, like classic original Star Trek geekdom, and now that's up my alley. Oh, that's awesome.
And so, and I personally got to nerd out a little on that because I'm the resident Star Trek geek at Mayfair, and so
yes.
they looked around and they were like, well, we want to put an almanac in with these maps. And what we'd like you to do is write down a little blurb about what episode, because every planet on the map appeared in an original season episode.
Right.
So write down what episode it appeared in and what happened there.
Wow.
So I actually got paid to watch Star Trek for a while, too.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, this is the job that I need, everybody. Who needs to be taking care of runny noses when I could be watching Star Trek and get paid for it?
Yes.
And then the World Catan Championships are coming up. And here at GenCon, is it the United States Catan Championship? How does that work? I've seen signs for it.
Yes. Well, what happens is each country runs its own championship.
Okay.
So Canada has a championship.
Right.
America, Mexico.
Right.
I believe there are 30 some odd countries sending representatives.
I didn't know there were that many. Wow.
Yes. And so at GenCon and Origins, we select the 2 American champions that are. So whoever wins the tournament at GenCon is going to go to Berlin to play against the champions from the other 30 some odd countries.
Wow.
To be the world Catan champion.
Oh, that's awesome. If I had a bunch of extra money, I would go to Berlin just to watch that play, but that's not happening this year. But
although in the past we have streamed it on the internet.
Really?
So you might be able to watch it there.
So if I go to, let me see if I can do it. Is your website, it's mayfairgames.com?
Yes.
Okay, so there might be a link up there that I might be able to catch on to.
If we are able to live stream, we did it, it alternates between Europe and America, where the World Championship is.
Got it.
And the last time we did it in America, we were able to live stream.
Fantastic.
So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to pull it off again, but if we can, we will definitely let people know where it is.
Awesome. Because I may tune in, because I like Catan, but to watch the world champions play Catan, it's got to be a little mind-blowing. So,
yes.
All right. Anything else that you'd like to tell our listeners before I get myself over and start winning some more ribbons?
Well, I'd like to say if you're close enough to get here by Saturday, we are doing. We created a crazy board game for the show Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
Called the Cones of Duncher.
Okay.
They actually wanted. One of the characters on the show was out of work for a while, and he's a gamer.
Okay.
And so he basically created this insane board game.
Okay.
That has it has 9 different classes in it, and your trying to collect cones.
Okay.
They're these giant, oversized cones.
Right.
But before you can get a cone, and you have to get 3 cones to win.
Okay.
But to get a cone, you have to build an entire civilization just to get 1 cone.
Oh my heavens!
And it has crazy rules. Like basically, we tried to make the most bizarre, over-the-top game ever for comedy.
Sure.
Like every turn, you roll dice to see how many dice you roll.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So it's got great things like that.
Great.
And it's got a bunch of characters that have just completely insane, over-the-top, kind of 3rd edition D&D class names.
Awesome.
Like the Arbiter.
Yes. Oh, Arbiter of
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And one of the players plays the Ledgerman.
Oh, okay.
Who does nothing but keep score because the game is that complicated. You just need someone to keep score.
Okay.
But he gets to wear a fancy sailor's cap.
Oh, awesome. Well,
so yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I'd sign up for that job. I get the cool hat. Yeah.
Exactly. So it started we basically tried to make the world's most unplayable game.
Absolutely.
Because it was going to be for like a 10-minute comedy sketch.
Sure.
In the midst of a sitcom.
Sure.
And I'm not really sure how it happened, but then somewhere along the way we decided to turn it into a real game.
Into a real game, of course.
Yes.
Of course. Because every gamer who probably played this is probably like, oh, you really need to just make this for real. Because
Right. Well, yeah, many people saw it, and we almost immediately started getting asked when we were going to do it. So I'm not sure we're going to be able to make it into something we can sell.
Okay.
Because it would probably cost about $100.
Oh, wow.
There's so many components.
Right. So
in the
many
game.
pieces and parts to it.
We really went crazy, and to make it match what we had said it was on the show.
Right.
We went. It just requires a ton of components.
Sure.
But we did get a version together Saturday night on Georgia Street for charity. We are going to have 32 people play a game of Cones of Dungeon. So,
what time is that going to be on Saturday?
That is 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Okay, yes. I'm asking because I didn't know about this, and I may show up to this because this may be.
You can. Tickets to play in it are sold out.
Okay.
But you can come and watch.
Just watch watch this game. Okay.
And there will also be things that you can bid on, and again, all the money is going to the official GenCon charity.
Awesome.
Which I believe is Big Brothers Big Sisters.
I think it is this year. That sounds correct. I think I saw that somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Awesome. Fantastic. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you anymore. You're running games, and I want to play some myself. So thank you so much for your time. Yes. We wish you a even more successful GenCon this year than last year, which I think you're well on your way to that. So
it's looking really good, yeah.
All right. Thanks again.
It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
So, Established Factors, this is your host, Big Don, and I am joined at GenCon 2014 with the very own Mike Williams of Oomba, and he has agreed to kind of hang out and chat with us and let us know how his GenCon's going today. So Mike, if you don't mind, can you give me a little bit of an overview of what Oomba does and kind of the things that you guys are attempting to do?
Well, okay, so you ever just have one of those ideas you couldn't shake? We just came up with this idea that there ought to be a way to organize tournaments and get your friends together and have it be all social networky with live streaming and the whole thing, and it all just exists. And in fact, the way I like to say is Oomba, we're like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where you manage people you work with. Oomba is where you manage people you play with. And we just like the idea that anybody can set up any kind of tournament of any kind with their friends and buddies or whatever, or even game stores can do it, or big organizations can do it. And one of the things we wanted to prove was that we could handle extremely large tournaments. And so to do that, we decided we'd set the Guinness World Record for the largest rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock tournament in history. Of course, it turns out that the current one is 2,826 people, and that turns out to be a hell of a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
But as we speak, we've just crossed over 2,600.
All right.
We still got about 4 hours left, and I think we're going to pull it off.
Good.
In fact, the reason you and I are walking right now is we're walking to go pick up the Guinness guy.
Very good.
That'll be awesome.
So, I know that you guys have a partnership with, I believe it's Mayfair this year as well.
and also Cryptozoic.
Okay, very cool. So what have you, in what capacity are you guys working with them?
Yeah, we're running both the tournaments of both those organizations. And by the way, we couldn't be more thrilled. We love Mayfair. And, and Cryptozoic's just a mile and a quarter down the street from us in Irvine, California. So we have a relationship with them, too. But it's, honestly, we would have liked to have run every tournament here, except that, we're just not ready. I mean, our site, we had to ship our site early just to get it done on time for GenCon, and so we didn't want to bite off more than we could chew, So we're but we are helping them run their tournament, and we intend to get even better. Now for Catan, we created the Catan Tournament Player, which is an app that's up on the App Store, and also an Android version that the players can use to keep score of the tournament, even as they're playing the tournament. And what's nice about it is the very act of keeping score causes those scores to be magically put up in the cloud, where it can do things like show up on their persona pages, and it can also, if you're watching the live streaming video of the match, you can see the scores pop up on the video. All kinds of really cool stuff like that. And if anything, we hope it's easier to play using the app than it would be without using the app. Because I've played Catan, and sometimes you don't even know you've won because you lose count.
Absolutely, and I can imagine that it's just a lot easier to keep things streamlined in the tournament, and it probably helps with time and being able to have time management, and you're not worried so much about confusion on the board and things like that.
Well, I'll tell you, we had this idea that all tournaments are basically the same, and we immediately discovered that no two tournaments have anything in common. But for that reason, there's all kinds of cool stuff. That different kinds of tournaments have different features they need, and by implementing it once in a generic fashion, other tournaments can benefit from it. So one of my favorite stories is the World Series of Beer Pong, which we'll be doing in January.
Oh,
the World Series of Beer Pong required that they have some people playing in round 2 and round 3 even while round 1 is still going on, because they want to keep all of their tables going. And that was an interesting requirement. Well, we've applied that to things like the Catan tournament, where you could have players that sit down for round 1 and start their games right away. They don't have to wait for every single player to be ready.
Okay.
And they can all have their own individual clocks going, round clocks, because it's all being done by the cloud.
Gotcha.
So the cloud knows that their time is up instead of a host having to remember it.
Okay.
It's really good. For people who play poker, this kind of stuff's actually pretty commonplace in the world of poker. But we're bringing those kinds of, major tournament management systems to the rest of us, to the hobby game industry.
Well, that's very cool. I know for a time I did a lot of competitive Magic tournaments and things like that, and I know that's definitely one thing that some tournaments have an issue with is, you have to have all the players there at the same time, making sure everybody's, starting at the same time, everybody has the same time frame to fill, and things like that. So I can imagine when you have an opportunity to have multiple games going on, depending on the level of.
And by the way, and I don't deny that's a lot of fun. It's actually kind of exciting that everybody's sitting at their table ready to go. And if you've got a huge venue and lots of tables and chairs, like here at GenCon, Magic, I think they literally have 400 tables back there.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of cool to get everybody sitting down and waiting for the master game clock to go off and stuff. And of course we support that too. But in a smaller environment like a game store, if you want to run a tournament, you may not have enough space for everybody.
That's absolutely true.
So it's neat to get the early birds off and running before the later guys show up and so forth. But that's another thing. People ask us, which kinds of formats and structures we support, and the answer is all of them.
Right.
We're going to do Swiss and round robin and single limb, double limb, and all that stuff. In fact, we've already done triple limb. I never thought anybody in the world would ever play a triple elimination tournament. But one of the first events we were ever involved with was the Maui Invitational. And it's a basketball.
Very cool.
It's a basketball thing, but I swear to you, it's triple elimination.
That's cool.
And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Steak and shake.
Down there, take a right. It's at the end of the block.
All right, so we've just given we've just given Steak and Shake directions to one of the people here at GenCon.
There you go.
Because we're a full service company.
That's right. Gosh darn it. So you mentioned doing a beer pong tournament. Obviously, you're working with Mayfair
Yes.
and Cryptozoic and things like that.
Beer pong Catan. That has. I like the combination there.
I'm down. So, what other sort of events are you looking forward to in the rest of your 2014?
Well, I like the oddball ones. The weirder it is, the more fun it is for me. So, and I like the little guy. My Mayfair, my Guinness guy is here. I just don't see him.
So for a lot of our video game records, you can actually go and film yourself attempting a video game record, put it on YouTube, and submit it to the site, and we'll actually adjudicate it in the office in New York, London, Tokyo.
Okay.
And then you can actually set records through the website.
Like
remotely.
Okay.
So,
yes. And in the near future, you'll be able to put that on Oomba TV as well.
Yeah, and I mean, there's other things, most dice stacked blindfolded in 30 seconds. Things like that where we can get a really clear view of what you're doing and adjudicate it. We're starting to do some of those online, but the vast majority come in through paper submissions.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, all right. So Mike, I know we talked a little bit before I hit record, but in general, you've been pretty darn busy this weekend.
Oh yeah.
But overall, what has been your experience from what I found out, your first Gen Con?
Well, I got to say, these are my people. I've been in the board game industry my whole life. I used to run a game store. My haunts were, OrcCon and Gateway out in Orange County, California, LA, which is where I'm from. But this is my first ever Gen Con, and I got to say, what a crowd. It was like almost, I think we're pushing 60,000 people here so far. It's just a fantastic bunch of people, and they say it's the best 4 days in gaming. I confirm that. Yeah. It's fantastic, and we're so pleased that Gen Con seems to have embraced us, and we've embraced them back. We were going to be here for a long time. We've totally enjoyed this.
Very good. And I know we talked a little bit about as far as speaking of size. You're running tournaments for Mayfair and Cryptozoic this weekend, but in general, obviously that's not where you want to stop.
Oh yeah, no, we're hoping we can run all the tournaments at Gen Con. In fact, we're talking to Gen Con themselves about can we help make their process a little bit more efficient. Most people sign up for the tournaments online, and then they got this whole ticket system and stuff. And and honestly, it's good technology, the best technology I've seen, but it could be way better. And I think we Oomba can help in that department. We'd like to. It's my vision that within a year or two, maybe every tournament here is running using us.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
And I should say we're free. We are free now and free forever. We're trying to create a singular place where people can advertise their events, where players can meet up with each other and do stuff. We'll figure out a way to make our money through the use of advertisements or something like that. We're not even worried about that right now. We don't have a single ad on our site. I mean, right now we just want to create a destination place where all of us can go to find out what the latest game is. You were talking earlier about, let's say Netrunner has a new edition out. We'd love to have a place where they can announce that, where people would find it. I mean, you can put it on Facebook, but it's going to get lost in the maelstrom of finding out what people had for breakfast.
Right.
So you kind of lose that kind of stuff. I'd like Oomba to be a more focused site where it's about truly what's happening in the game world. What is the latest?
Well, and it seems it's we did an interview with Tracy Hickman, and one thing that he really is passionate about is kind of streamlining the con opportunity for people, and that's kind of what we talked about a little bit with the Netrunner thing. But it seems like that's kind of what Oomba is attempting to do, is really make it to where it's a lot more fun to get enrolled in the tournament and to find out your results and things like that. So
tournaments make any game more fun.
Right.
Even if you're not playing a tournament every day, the fact that there are tournaments makes the game fun.
That's right.
And I got to say that you don't want the tournaments to get in the way. You don't want when a guy leaves a tournament, you don't want his experience to be that I stood in line for 4 hours and then I had to wait for 2 hours and then I had to wait between rounds for 2 hours. I mean, that's terrible. We want it to be fun and slick and cool. And I've been a lifelong player of tournaments.
Right.
I started my first game club when I was 10 years old. It was called Adventures Inc., which is a dungeon venturing entourage, never tiring until reaching exalted status in nameless caverns. 10 years old, and I was running tournaments out of my backyard with all my local friends.
That's very cool.
So here I am, 47 now, 37 years later. I still have a huge passion for tournaments. And you know what? I'm tired of paper and Excel spreadsheets being the state of the art. It's time we had a real product that anybody could use that was easy.
Well, and one thing we've discussed recently on the Established Facts is using technology to the advantage of your hobby, and we kind of touched on it with the Guinness records and things like that. Is like being able to use YouTube or Facebook or things like that. That's, even though that's kind of the mainstream social networking thing, those are tools that, if used appropriately, can really help promote the experience that a gamer can have at any one time.
Absolutely. Those handful of us who actually play 7-player diplomacy, we can find each other.
There you go.
Because there's not a lot of us, and it's important that the internet be used for that purpose.
That's right. It's not all about hashtags. Sometimes, you just want to sit down and play a game.
Hashtag wars.
That's right. There you go.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, Mike, I just want to say I really appreciate you giving us an opportunity to kind of hang out and talk to you. I wish you all the best of luck with the Guinness Records thing, and
we're sweating it.
We are going to be super excited to see what happens with Oomba for next year at GenCon 2015, and we will be looking for great things to come for you all year.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
You guys have a great day. Have a good con.
Please visit us at www.theestablishedfacts.com and our Facebook page, facebook.com/theestablishedfacts. If you would like to support us by buying some merchandise, visit cafepress.com/castingrobot.
Bonus